Sit down. I'll only walk through this once, and I don't repeat myself for people who weren't listening the first time. You've watched me stand in rooms full of people, convinced they already understood the outcome, convinced they'd already measured me, filed me away, moved on to worrying about someone louder. Every single one of them was solving the wrong equation. They were measuring what I showed them. Nobody who's ever actually beaten me did it by measuring what I chose to hide. That's the entire secret, and it costs nothing to learn. It only costs something to practice. Because unlike everything else you've been taught about winning, this isn't about becoming more. It's about becoming unreadable. People spend their whole lives waiting for a verdict that was never anyone else's to give. A test score, a ranking, a room's collective opinion of who matters and who doesn't. They absorb that verdict like it's fact, and then they spend years trying to argue their way out of a conclusion nobody with actual authority ever reached. I was placed in the lowest class on purpose, written off before the term even began, and I understood something immediately that most people never figure out across an entire lifetime. A label only has power over you if you agree to carry it. Refuse the label. Not loudly. Loud refusal is just another performance, aimed at an audience you claim not to need. Refuse it quietly, by simply continuing to operate at your actual level while letting the label sit there, untouched, doing absolutely nothing to the outcome. Eventually the room notices the gap between what they wrote down about you and what you actually are. By then, you've already used the distance they handed you for free. Every provocation is a request. Somebody wants a piece of you. Your anger, your fear, your scrambling attempt to defend yourself. Because that piece tells them exactly how to handle you next time. Watch what happens when you simply don't hand it over. Silence unsettles people far more than any argument could. They expect resistance. They've built their entire approach around a reaction that never arrives. And in that gap, the one where you were supposed to flinch and didn't, something shifts. The power in the room quietly changes hands, and most of the time, neither party can fully explain how it happened. I'm not telling you to feel nothing. That's a lazy misreading of what I do, usually made by people who've never had to actually practice restraint under real pressure. I feel exactly what the moment produces. I simply refuse to let it choose my next move for me. There's a difference between having an emotion and being operated by one. And almost nobody in your life has ever taught you to notice which one is currently happening. I've watched capable people destroy their own advantage because they couldn't resist showing it off one moment too early. A skill revealed before it's needed isn't strength. It's a gift, handed directly to whoever's paying attention, telling them exactly how to prepare against you. Real ability doesn't require a witness. It exists whether the room claps for it or not. And the moment you stop needing the room to clap, you gain something almost nobody else walking past you has the freedom to deploy, what you're capable of exactly when it matters, instead of the moment your ego couldn't wait any longer. Hold it back. Let them build their entire strategy around the version of you they think they've seen. That miscalculation is the most valuable thing they'll ever hand you without realizing it. Every system that has ever tried to control a person first had to find something that person couldn't live without. Approval, belonging, money, comfort. Once that need exists, control becomes trivial. You don't even need force. You just threaten to take away the thing they've already convinced themselves they can't function without. I removed as many of those hooks as I could, one at a time, deliberately, not out of contempt for people. That's a shallow reading from someone who's never actually tried it. I removed them because dependency is the exact currency every manipulator, every institution, every overconfident rival has ever traded in. Ask yourself honestly what you currently cannot function without. Then ask whether that thing is actually necessary, or whether it's simply something you were trained to believe was necessary by people who benefited from you believing it. Most of what feels essential is a leash somebody else installed. You're allowed to take it off. Every environment has a version of itself it wants you to believe, and a version that's actually true underneath it. Most people never bother separating the two. They react to whoever's loudest, whoever's most visibly upset, whoever's performing the most convincing crisis. And they miss the actual signal happening quietly in the corner nobody's watching. I learn the baseline of a room before I decide anything about how to move inside it, who actually holds weight, regardless of who's claiming it, what's genuinely being tested underneath whatever's officially being announced. Once you know what normal looks like in a given space, deviation from it becomes obvious almost immediately. And deviation is where every piece of real information you'll ever need is actually hiding. Stop reacting to noise. Start reading what doesn't add up. There's a particular kind of person who spends enormous energy correcting every misjudgment made about them. Every time someone underestimates them, they rush to prove it wrong immediately, and in doing so, they burn the exact advantage that misjudgment was quietly handing them. I let the misjudgment stand. Every assumption someone makes about my limits is a boundary they've drawn around a version of me that doesn't exist. I operate freely inside the space just outside that boundary, completely unmonitored, because nobody bothers guarding territory they've already decided is empty. This requires tolerating something most people can't stomach, being counted out, dismissed, treated as unremarkable, sometimes for longer than feels comfortable. If that discomfort breaks you, you were never actually playing for the outcome. You were playing for the moment everyone finally admits they were wrong about you. And that moment was never the objective. The advantage was, every fast, visible move invites an equally fast, visible response. Every quiet, patient move builds in the background, unopposed, for as long as nobody notices it's happening. Most people can't tolerate that silence. They mistake movement for progress and confuse noise for momentum. I've watched entire plans collapse because someone couldn't wait 3 more days, 3 more conversations, 3 more rounds of information before acting. Patience isn't passivity. It's the deliberate decision to let the board finish revealing itself before you commit to a move you can't take back. The version of you that waits for full information will always outperform the version that acts on partial information out of impatience. This isn't inspiring. It's simply true. And truth doesn't need to be inspiring to be worth acting on. Here's what I actually want sitting in your chest by the time this ends, because tactics without a reason behind them are just an elaborate way of staying busy. Every person who's ever dismissed you handed you something they didn't intend to give room to operate that they stopped watching. Every label that called you average, forgettable, unremarkable, none of it changed your actual capability. It only changed what the room expected to see from you, and expectation, managed correctly, is the single most exploitable resource available to anyone patient enough to use it. You were never behind. You were simply unwatched. And unwatched, if you're disciplined enough to use it, is a stronger position than watched will ever be. None of what I've told you is about turning yourself into stone. Coldness without a purpose behind it is just another costume, no more useful than the performance you were told to abandon at the start of this. Everything here exists for a single function, removing every unnecessary variable, so what's left? Your actual judgment, your actual will, your actual capability, finally gets to operate without static drowning it out. Remove the need for approval, and your decisions stop being negotiations with an audience that was never actually paying attention. Remove the leash others thought they still held, and their threats lose their teeth entirely. Remove the reflex to react before you've thought it through, and you gain the one resource almost nobody around you currently has: the time to actually decide, instead of simply responding to whatever just happened to you. What remains, once all of it is stripped away, was never someone new. It was always you, just finally operating without the interference that had been drowning out your own judgment the entire time. You don't need this room to see you clearly. You need it to be wrong about you for exactly as long as being wrong about you keeps working in your favor. And not 1 second longer than that. Let them underestimate the preparation. Let them misjudge the ceiling. Let the silence do work that arguing never could. Nobody handed me this. I built the conditions for it, deliberately, one removed dependency at a time, one withheld reaction at a time, one quiet advantage at a time that nobody in the room ever saw coming. You can build the exact same thing. Nobody is coming to construct it for you, and frankly, nobody needs to. The board is already sitting in front of you. Stop waiting for permission to play it the way you actually intended to all along.